The inside story on the issues that affect you and your community. This is Local 12 Newsmakers.
Good morning and welcome to Local 12 Newsmakers. At the moment, political rhetoric is filled with, even more than usual, calls for something new, something fresh. Every candidate wants to stress that they are an outsider, capable of offering new ideas and not entangled with old alliances. While most of us were focused on the primary races, a shift occurred at the Cincinnati Board of Education that brought a new member to the board 2 weeks ago, who is young and has never run for anything before. This was triggered by the decision of Michael Flannery, who himself was in his first term as a member of the board, to resign for medical reasons. Sean Parker, who is 27 years old, grew up in Cincinnati, graduating from Walnut Hills High School before going on to Howard University in Washington, D.C. He is currently Government and Community Relations Manager at Procter & Gamble, where he has worked since 2005. Mr. Parker lives downtown and is one of the founders of Cincy PAC, a local nonpartisan political action committee which encourages young professionals to get involved with local politics. He will serve out the remainder of Mr. Flannery's term through December 2011. If he wants to continue, he will have to stand for election in November 2011. Sean, welcome to Newsmakers.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
And congratulations with your appointment.
Thank you very much.
I know you and I know each other a little bit. I know a little bit from your resume that you've always been interested in politics. Have you long thought about serving, now, even though you were appointed, not elected, but this is an elected position? There's a difference between being interested in politics, being involved in politics, and actually being one of the elected officials.
Yeah.
Is that something you've wanted?
It is, and actually I'm more interested in serving than I am interested in being involved in politics. And so when this opportunity...
The two come together, by the way.
They do.
I know you're new, but the two come together.
When this opportunity became available, it was the prime opportunity to serve young people in Cincinnati, which I think is a real important factor.
Michael Flannery's decision to step aside for health reasons came relatively suddenly. How long did you have to think about throwing your hat in the ring for this particular position?
It wasn't long at all. The board was really interested in making sure that there was a quick transition so that none of the existing policies and procedures would be delayed. And so it was about a month from the announcement to the interview process to the time that I was announced that I was appointed.
There had to be, you making a decision once you heard that this was a possibility to move ahead. But I would suspect one of the things you had to negotiate was with your employers, Procter & Gamble, how this would work out. How did that work out? I mean, did they know you were thinking about something like this, or was this a surprise and it was starting from ground zero?
I don't think it was a surprise. Like I said earlier, I've been hugely interested in serving the community and have served on a number of boards and committees. And so it may have caught a few people a little bit off guard that I wanted to pursue this just because of the amount of work and the perception of the role. But this is like none other board position that we're encouraged as employees to participate in the community. It's something that's done outside of work hours. I had to make some arrangements as far as flex schedule and ensure that this wouldn't affect my work at P&G. But more importantly, the fact that this is the work that I do in my role in external relations. I manage some of our relationships with Strive and with United Way. And so I've been involved in a number of the initiatives that are going on in the community. And so this was just a natural kind of transition. So I've got kind of my work and then now after work activities.
I can see where it's a natural transition from your point of view, but when you're the community relations, government relations person for Procter & Gamble, connected to Strive, the educational reform effort, that's one thing. But now you're in a decision-making role. So time is one question, but there's going to be people, there are people, who are wondering if you're carrying P&G's water on the Board of Education. What kind of agreements did you have to come to about your independence, your autonomy, your responsibilities at work, how all those things fit together?
Right. That actually, it went both ways. So from P&G's perspective, they were interested in the fact that it wouldn't be a disruption to work. And for me, I would only interview for this role if I could be independent and have my own voice and not have that affect my work or my day-to-day activities. And so they're completely separate. In my day job, I work with those organizations, but this is, as you'll see once I start voting, that there aren't any alliances to the unions or to the CBC, but it's really my alliances to the students and what's best for the community.
Well, I think we should point out here that this isn't brand new and never happened before. Linwood Battle,
yes,
was on the board for a long time, worked at P&G. Herb Brown at Western Southern. These are people who served
right.
both roles in both of their cases with great dignity.
Well, and there are other employees at P&G that currently serve on other school boards. Cincinnati Public Schools gets
a little bit higher profile.
It's a little different. CPS gets a lot of attention because it's a bigger district with bigger issues. But its service is a part of kind of the P&G purpose, values, and principles that we want our employees to be engaged in the community as much so as they are in their day-to-day work.
You're a graduate of the Cincinnati Public Schools, Walnut Hills High School. As you look back on your own personal education first, let's start there. Mm-hmm. What did you think of the quality of the education that you got in Cincinnati Public Schools?
I had a great education, and I had great teachers, but also I had parents that pushed me to be nothing less than what I was truly capable of achieving. And so actually my earliest experiences with good teachers was at Silverton Elementary School. And I still keep in touch with some of those teachers today. I actually received a letter in the mail from my kindergarten teacher, Miss Penniless. And so those relationships have carried on ever since from elementary school all the way up until college graduation, and now that I'm back in Cincinnati. There were a number of teachers that had high expectations for me and for my friends, and so whenever I see them out, not only have they kept up with me through their friends, and because Cincinnati is small when it comes to that circle, mm-hmm. but they also ask about friends of mine that went to school with me at the same time that I've kept in touch with. So that sense of community is so important, and so I had the great fortune of having great teachers all the way from kindergarten to my senior year at Walnut Hills, and that's something that I carry with me.
For people whose children have not gone through Cincinnati Public Schools in recent years and maybe live outside the district, very honestly, a lot of the news is not good a lot of the time.
Right.
Do you think your experience was atypical? Do you think it's because your parents were there to make this happen this way? Or do you think that the system itself is better than the perception of the system?
I think it's a combination. I think the system is better than the perception. I think that my parents and my informal set of mentors and folks that prayed for me and pushed me to do better had a major impact on that. And that's actually a major reason why I wanted to pursue this role. Young professionals is a moniker that is thrown around a lot in Cincinnati, and there's a lot of recruitment and a lot of thoughts on retaining young professionals. And what happens, Dan, is that as young professionals become young families, young professionals want to live in the city. They want to live close to the action downtown. But then once where I live, and once we get married, then people start thinking about kids and where are they going to go to school and how much are they going to have to pay for it, and the importance of quality education is a major factor as to where people live once they get married. And so it's important to me that they stay in the city of Cincinnati. And so the only way to do that is to help spread the word of the things that are going really well. help to expose the things that aren't going well so that we can get the community involved and ready to help out. People want to help. They just oftentimes don't know how and when or the right way. And so that's one thing that I'll really focus on, is how to get the community involved to make sure that our young people have high expectations set for them, so that if their parents can't do it, that they'll have a community that they can rely on and that will be interested in their future.
Now, you got married recently, last August.
In August, yes.
Okay. And you don't have any children yet, but do you imagine, one, that they will go to Cincinnati Public Schools, and two, do you imagine that you can raise those children downtown?
Yes. So I'm a huge proponent of public schools, and this is something that my wife and I, Paris, talk about all the time, is once we have kids, where are they going to go to school, where are we going to live? The importance of a backyard is something that we talk about in addition to quality schools, and so we will try to stay downtown. I used to be on the Parks Foundation, and so the fact that you can have a backyard in your front yard with the great parks that we have makes it possible for that to happen. So I think it's important for families to live in all of the neighborhoods in Cincinnati. Downtown is a great community. The West End, where I live, is a great community with a lot of history and a lot of people that have lived there for years, and a lot of young people that are moving in as well. The proximity to the downtown is great, and I can go to good restaurants and come back. But so yes, that's a long-winded answer of saying yes, that the goal, one, is they will go to Cincinnati Public Schools, but two, we'll try to stay downtown, but we move into one of the neighborhoods.
Well, you were talking about the focus in Cincinnati on young professionals, both attracting them and retaining them, and of course you're a graduate of Sea Change, which is the young professional leadership program that's part of the chamber, and I run Leadership Cincinnati. That's how we first got to know each other. You were also, as I mentioned in the introduction, one of the founders of CincyPAC. What is CincyPAC at this point, and what's it have to say about the education system? Yeah,
so CincyPAC is an organization that I kind of envisioned when I was in D.C. I did a lot of work with Mayor Adrian Fenty while I was there when he was a council member. And I would volunteer at his fundraisers, and that was the only way that I could get in. And so when I moved back to Cincinnati, I thought, how can we get young people involved in the political process, involved in helping get our ideas and issues moving forward to make the city more inviting to young professionals. And I called Candace Klein, who is actually the president of CincyPAC now, and Rob Richardson, who are great friends of mine, and said, let's get young people together so that collectively we can raise enough money so that council members will listen to us, and they'll focus on adequate public transportation and affordable housing and great parks and things that attract people to a city. Well, it then evolved to a movement where young people, where it's now they're advocating on behalf of issues, and I've been a little bit removed from CincyPAC just because I felt like I had taken it as far as I could, and Candace was well positioned to take it to the next level, and
she's not shy.
And no, she's not shy at all, and she does a great job with that organization. Education was on there, was something that we talked about, but it wasn't.
It wasn't a focus, though.
It wasn't a key focus, and I think that's come with kind of the growth of what we thought was important at the time. Now that we're married, Rob is married, we're thinking about kids and staying in the district. And
let's be clear about this. CincyPAC, and I mentioned it very quickly in the intro, is nonpartisan.
Right.
And just because people who join are young professionals doesn't mean they're the same place on the political spectrum.
Not at all.
So
not at all.
This is not clearly an agenda that is single focused.
Right.
For education, for anything.
Right.
Right.
Right. Our goal was to help advocate for things that will make Cincinnati inviting to people like us. So what are the things that we love to do, that we love about other cities, and how can we bring that to Cincinnati? That was our only focus. So the fact that it was a political action committee, people get caught up in the politics of it, but really it has to do with what are the things that we want to see. Yeah.
Okay, I just have about a minute left here, but you're a graduate of Walnut Hills. You're now on the school board. The School for the Creative and Performing Arts is in the process of opening, and the students will be there next fall. Great asset, great new building, great asset, great program. What do you see besides Walnut Hills? And Walnut Hills graduates can become very narrow in their focus sometimes. What do you see as the other great schools in the system?
Well, there are a number of great schools. Clark, who had an opportunity to have the commencement speech by President Obama, is a great school. There are a lot of hidden gems too. So if you look at a lot of the schools that are in the district that people don't know about it. Fairview German Language School, and you've got schools where people kind of camp out to get their students there. What I'm most interested in is how can we make sure that all schools have the reputation that Walnut Hills and SCPA and Fairview have.
Is one of your agenda items going to be to get out to a lot of those schools?
Oh yeah, and get out into the community because the community can do a lot around those schools that monetary resources can't. Right. So if anyone is interested in reaching out, I've got a website. parkercps.com, and before you kick it off, I would like to say Happy Mother's Day to my mother and to my two moms who have been very supportive and are a major reason why I'm here today. So.
Well, Sean, congratulations on this new turn and good luck, and you'll be back here when there's harder questions.
That's right. Look forward to it.
Budget issues to deal with and things.
I look forward
good luck,
to it.
Though.
Thanks.
Stay tuned. After the break, we continue focused on education with two of the organizers of a major conference later this week on teacher compensation reform. What is the best way to determine teacher pay? Traditionally, it has been pegged to their number of degrees and years of experience. In recent years, a growing number of people have proposed changing that system to compensate teachers based on their effectiveness in the classroom. An outline of the proposal was presented in Cincinnati last December by the New Teacher Project. This Thursday, the issue of teacher compensation will be explored in a major conference to be held at the College of Mount St. Joseph. I am joined this morning by two of the organizers of that conference. Harvey Cohen is an attorney with Dinsmore Shoal, and Tony Esposito is the Senior Vice President for Human Resources and Administration at the Ohio National Financial Services. Both are members of Class 33 of Leadership Cincinnati and members of the project team working on this conference. And I have to, of course, reveal my conflict of interest as Director of Leadership Cincinnati. I'm not totally unfamiliar with this. So anyway, welcome to,
thanks for having us.
Why is this an important topic, Harvey?
It is a cutting edge issue right now. The government's putting several $billions behind it. Tony could speak further to that. And the states have to align, the unions have to align, the teachers need to get in line somewhat and band together collaboratively to do what's best for our kids.
So you're saying that there are dollars behind getting a change in the compensation system?
Yes, and Tony may be best to answer that.
The economic stimulus package had $100 billion in for education. Over $4 billion of it was for what's called the Race to the Top competition, which just ended the first phase. The first two states to receive funding are Delaware, $100 million, and Tennessee, $500 million. The next phase comes through, applications are actually due June 1st, and it looks like they will be awarded the end of September. There's another $3 billion available to states. Ohio and Kentucky came in 9th and 10th out of a possible 500 points. Each had about 418. Delaware, Tennessee had about 450.
And in that money is one of the things in the Race to the Top, is it the teacher compensation system is part of that?
That's part of it. Be able to track that, student performance, teacher performance, turn around underperforming schools, a variety of different things that are a change for a lot of school districts.
But in fact, several states had to change their laws to be able to apply because they didn't allow for differential strategic comp among teachers.
Yeah, and Tennessee was very aggressive in doing that.
Is this a conservative issue? Is this a liberal issue? What is this? I mean, is there, who supports, who doesn't? I mean, this is coming out of the money's coming out of the Obama administration.
That's correct.
But I'd say traditionally, this was seen as, well, not a union issue, right? So where's this coming from? Is this just getting larger traction?
I was going to say it's a national issue, obviously. A little bit, maybe the controversy is that the unions who helped elect President Obama look at this and say, hey, wait a minute, this might be a little bit different than what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But we're seeing more and more unions get on board. Ohio had 100% of their unions behind their enrollment, so to speak. Delaware and Tennessee had the same. So I think unions are seeing that this is the future.
Let's talk a little bit about, this is happening in Cincinnati, and you've put this together here. There are national speakers involved in this, and we've got a full screen of some of the speakers who are involved, led by Brad Jupp, and people can see it here, who's with the U.S. Department of Education, and you can see that we've got people from Columbus, from Nashville, from Colorado, and from D.C., all coming. Who is Brad Jupp, and what's his role?
We're incredibly pleased to have him. He is the Obama administration's, and Arnie Duncan, the Secretary of Education, point person on teacher effectiveness, teacher quality. And we're incredibly happy to have him. He's going to spend quite a bit of time there. Tell us where the dollars are going, what you have to do to get the dollars, which again is differential, strategic comp for teachers, among other things, many measures. And then Jason Glass is coming, who is also on the screen. They threw out their compensation system and started over. We're not advocating that. Most of our conference is about should you move to a differential teacher compensation system, but he will talk about what their experience has been, good and bad, the mistakes they made and the successes they had.
This is from Colorado, right?
Correct, Eagle County.
Eagle County. And how long ago did they do that?
Goes back some years, and
Several years.
There's a lot to talk about from what they did.
And the nature of this conference on Thursday at Mount St. Joe, some presentations, are people going to be able to talk with each other? What's the structure of things here?
Everything is interactive. We're going to encourage audience participation early and often. Every speaker has been told that. There's no actual speeches. There's only going to be Q&A with panels of folks. And we intend everyone to have a big, long networking dialogue that's substantive and important. We're leaving time to have discussions outside of the room, lots of discussions in the room. Lunch speaker, back at it, breakouts, talk more about the key issues.
Yeah, full day from 8 to 3.
Yeah, 8 to 3, and we'll give people all the details on that. But Tony, who do you think ought to consider coming to this conference?
Administrators, principals, union representatives, boards, school boards, teachers if they're available. Anybody that's just interested, and it's a very cutting edge topic. It seems to be the future, and we're looking forward to it.
So ordinary people who are interested in the future of education in the United States. I mean, you may not be an official, you may not be directly involved.
Right.
Could be interested in this
This
as
is
well.
the future, at least the near term and midterms. They might as well come learn all about it, and there's a lot of issues to learn.
Okay, and what about locally? We're talking about sort of the national. Have you been working locally with school boards and with administrators, local people who are affected by this?
That's a great question. The very first folks we went to were both the Ohio Teachers Unions and the local teacher union to suggest panelists. And we worked with them for a month or 6 weeks before we went to anyone else. In addition, if you looked at our roster as of 2 weeks ago, and we'll get a new one from you hopefully today, it's entirely teachers, school boards, union representatives, those kind of folks that are there so far.
Okay.
Plus we work with Jeff Edmondson with Strive. And Strive is the consortium and collaboration between business leaders, educators from K through 9 all the way up into the universities, which is Strive has been an important part of our
and I would think
process.
University education faculties would be another group that
Absolutely.
would be very interested in this, and at least a number of the universities are going to be out of classes by this time, and they would come to Thursday.
And their students are going into teaching. This is all about what's best for the kids and getting the best teachers we can.
Okay. I want to be sure that everybody has the information. If you're interested in attending the Trends in Teacher Compensation Conference, it will be held this Thursday, May the 13th, from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. The conference will be held in the theater at the College of Mount St. Joseph, 5700 Delhi Road. If you would like to attend, call 513-579-3111. The cost of the conference is $25, which covers morning snack, lunch, and materials.
It's a nice deal.
Seems like a pretty good deal to me.
It's a great deal.
We've had great sponsors too. We should thank them.
Oh, yeah, we have huge sponsors for this, and it really is good. So, looking forward to this this Thursday. A lot of work has gone into this. Thank you for doing that. We'll see what comes out the other end.
Dan, thank you for
Thanks for
having
you
us.
back on
Appreciate
that.
it.
Thank you for making Newsmakers a part of your Sunday morning. Join us again next week to meet the men and the women working to shape our community for the future. Have a good week.